International Fight Week is upon us, and we have two title fights to look forward to. Ilia Topuria is moving up from 145 pounds to 155 pounds to become a two-division champion on his path to become the first ever three-division champion. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to give you my bets for UFC 317. Before I jump in on the bets, let's take a look at the spectacular lineup we have over the next month. We have UFC 317 this weekend. Then we kick off UFC Nashville with Derek Lewis, the all-time knockout king. We have UFC 318 after that, and then UFC Abu Dhabi. It might be Saudi Arabia. My bad for mixing that up. And the reason I tell you about this spectacular four-event lineup we're walking into is because if you go to my website, wewantpicks.com, you can unlock every bet, every tool, every pick for all four of these events. It's only $10 for an entire month, and you will get two pay-per-views in that mix. All of these events are spectacular. None of them are at the Apex. Go to the website, check it all out now. You'll see all sorts of things, not just a list of picks and bets, but tools that will help you. A lot of you like to watch tape, do your own research. Well, we have a tape index. It lines it up all for you nice. Every fighter on every card, their full fight history. If there's a little red play button, you click it, video pops up, you can watch the tape. We also have a line movement tracker. This will give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every fighter on every card. We have a prop hunter. This is a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets, a whole slew of tools, anything you could ever need while trying to place some bets, watching your favorite sport. You want to copy paste? We got that. You want to do your own research? We got that. It's $10 an entire month. You're going to get two pay-per-views if you sign up right now. Let's take a look at this actual fight card. I'm going to give you the bets, but first we're going to talk about some favorites and some dogs that I like overall. Last week at UFC Baku was wild. That was a card that everybody, the universal collective MMA community, was saying, chalk heavy card, chalk heavy card. We had 12 fights total. First of all, 10 of them went to a decision. That was kind of boring, but the reality is, with the live crowd and the screaming and the yelling, it didn't feel as boring as it was on paper. But of those 12 fights, we had 7 underdog wins. More than half of the fights ended with the underdog winning. And then if you flip the Curtis Blaydes decision, which you probably should, we have 8 underdog wins. If you don't think Tagir won his, that's 9 underdogs out of 12 fights. Last week was wild. This week feels very different. There are some solid dogs here. I do think this is mostly going to be chalk. A lot of favorites here, but let's go ahead and talk about, in generalities, what this looks like before we hit the bets. Jhonata Diniz, minus 305. The reality is, I understand he was just taken down. I understand he's clueless off of his back. It's actually quite embarrassing. But he is a very high-level, nasty striker, and he's fighting basically a dude getting off a bar stool. He's fighting a regional guy. Yes, he's undefeated, but he's fighting a regional guy that comes forward slow and sloppy. He is going to look to wrestle, but I don't think he gets close enough. I think he gets cracked a few times. I think he gets put out, and I think Jhonata Diniz just sort of reminds everybody like, hey, yeah, I kind of suck at grappling, but there are levels to striking, so if you're just going to come here all sloppy and stupid, I'm going to put you out. Then we have Gregory Rodriguez. This is a guy that I'm getting more confident in as the week goes on. Well, I originally broke it down. I still feel this way, but I originally broke it down and said, listen, the reality is his cardio was a little bit exposed in his last fight. He could dominate early and then fade. This fight could be the same. He could dominate early and then fade, but I don't think Jack Hermansson is dangerous enough to do anything even if Gregory fades. Gregory should be able to come forward, stay busy, get in Jack's face. If he wants to wrestle, I think he can wrestle and avoid any submissions. He is a BJJ black belt. Gregory Rodriguez, minus 210. Obviously a little nerve-wracking. He's coming off that finish loss because his cardio did run out. Alexandre Pantoja in the co-main event. Listen, I know a lot of people love Kai Kara-France. All right, bet Sam, all over Kai Kara-France this week. I don't think that's a good call. And there's definitely some regional bias there, living on the same continent. Kai Kara-France is fun. He hits pretty hard for just a little tiny pocket. Yeah, I could fit him in he's like a Polly Pocket. He's a Tweety Bird looking Polly Pocket. He's that small. And if you don't have daughters, you don't know what Polly Pocket is, but just small. But he does manage to hit hard, and he is lightning fast. But Pantoja is a weight bully. Pantoja's going to move forward. He's going to drag Kai Kara-France to the ground. This is a rematch. I don't care. It was so long ago. We're going to break it down fresh. But I think Pantoja just does what Pantoja does. Moves forward, stays aggressive, gets the takedowns, just wins this fight. He's minus 252. And Ilia Topuria in the main event. I understand how many of you love Charles Oliveira. You're clearly not betting on him, though. You guys love him to death. You want to comment top to bottom. Don't talk about my king like that. You're not betting on him because the odds just continue to widen. Ilia just becomes a bigger and bigger favorite. If you were betting on Charles Oliveira, like you're pretending you are, those odds would tighten, and they're not. I think everybody sort of understands what's about to happen here. Charles Oliveira is beloved by all. He's a ton of fun. Charles Oliveira is a guy that is very exciting. He has the most submission wins in history. But Ilia Topuria has cleaner boxing, hits like a freight train, has the Georgian wrestling if he needs it. I fully understand his first fight at 155, he got dropped, but then he recovered and won by knockout. And if you're going to use that as the reason why Ilia loses this fight, are you just ignoring the fact that Charles Oliveira has been dropped in basically every fight he's ever been in? If we talk about some solid underdogs, I think Hyder Amel's a great dog here. I think he's a great dog. His opponent is obviously dangerous. Every single one of his fights is a finish win. But the reality is Hyder Amel is also durable. He's also dangerous. He's got power. He can slow the pace. I think Hyder Amel can squeak this win out. He just has a very good win, or he's coming off a very good win. I think Hyder Amel can get this done. Sedriques Dumas is the most unlikable guy on this fight card. He was literally arrested 2 months ago, hiding in a dog cage in somebody else's home, which is why he was arrested. That wasn't your home. What are you doing here? But he is the UFC experience. He does have many walks into that octagon. He does have wins at this level. And despite him being essentially clueless on the ground and getting sparked in his last fight, Sedriques Dumas could potentially win this fight. I and many others are on his opponent, and you're going to see that line movement in a second. But I do think it's getting a little out of control. When I bet on his opponent, he was an underdog. He was an underdog. And it just felt like, he should be able to win this fight. He's 6'6". He's got decent jiu-jitsu, but he's a regional guy. He's not well tested. Now we're getting into a situation where it makes no sense. Sedriques Dumas plus 135. I wouldn't bet on him because I'm never going to root for a guy like that. But the reality is he can win this fight. Brandon Royval, he is now an underdog again. When they announced this fight, he was a wild underdog. They announced the fight. Josh Van was a minus 250 favorite. And immediately people were like, whoa, that's crazy. Like Brandon Royval has been fighting at a very high level for a very long time. He's been in a lot of fights against the number 1 guy in the world, number 2 guy in the world, number 3 guy in the world. Brandon Royval is beating some of the best to do it. And I understand Joshua Van is looking great and the striking's good, but he's also kind of untested, and he was finished just 2 fights ago by Charles Johnson. So then the odds corrected themselves. Brandon Royval became the favorite. And now they're going back the other way. I think a lot of it has to do with people are being reminded that Brandon Royval pulled out of his last fight because of a concussion. He said, I got hit so hard in training, I was knocked out. I still don't have my wits about me. And people are trying to be like, uh-oh. And then we have Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush, these line is tightening. I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a favorite come fight night. The reality is he is a no-gi BJJ world champion. And even though he's got that salt and pepper hair, him and Jhonata Moicano are the exact same age. So people talk about old man Dariush. They are the same age. So Dariush his hair is beautiful. It's just salt and pepper. Beneil Dariush was on that 8-fight win streak, looked incredible. He has been inactive as of late, and he is coming off a couple losses in a row. Yeah, he lost to Charles Oliveira, but watch that fight back. It's not what you remember it being. He had a lot of success in that fight. So I think Beneil Dariush can be a solid underdog. He might be a favorite by the time you watch this. Here's a look at my actual bets. I got a lot of bets on the board right now. I got 9 going, and there's more coming. This feels like a card where I'm not as flip-floppy as I normally am, right? Lots of times I look at the cards, I break them down, I have my initial gut reaction, and then the longer I look at it, the more I just hear other people and their bullshit. It starts to seep into my brain, and I just start to not trust any of it. UFC 317 is very different. There's a lot of spots that I was immediately confident in. For example, this first parlay, Ilia Topuria and Alexandre Pantoja. I was going to make that the safety parlay. And honestly, I had it typed out as the safety parlay, and it was minus 133. And I said, you know what? I also trust this minus 108 bet. Let me just give the people a little bit better odds. So I made the minus 108 bet the safety parlay instead of the minus 133. Then I debated, let me just do 2 safety parlays. And the only thing prevented me from doing that is Pantoja's getting a little older. And if Kai Kara-France just happens to find that shot, I don't want this whole thing to break apart. But I do have that parlay. I'm very confident in it. Then I parlayed a couple of round lines. I did the under on the Jacobe Smith-Niko Price fight. I think Jacobe Smith runs through that dude. I don't think this fight lasts very long at all. I don't think it gets out of the first round, let alone halfway through the second. And then the over on the only lady fight on the card. Cortez is not very dangerous. Vivian Araujo can be dangerous for about 3 minutes, and then she gets tired. I think we have struggled to get takedown early and then get the takedowns late and nothing happens with it. I think we're good there. That is a minus 146 parlay. Hyder Amil, for all the reasons I mentioned. I think he absolutely can win this fight. I think he's got the better record. I think he has more ways to win. We have seen him fight outside of a finish, meaning we've seen him go to a decision and win. We have not seen that out of his opponent. I think Hyder can win. Only a quarter of a unit there because, you know, a little scaredy cat Ange. Then we have Jhonata Diniz and Felipe Lima. That's another parlay, half a unit there, basically even money at minus 101. I think Jhonata Diniz absolutely sparks that dude. And then Felipe Lima. Felipe Lima is in a weird spot right now because he is fighting a very highly touted prospect in Peyton Talbot. Peyton Talbot was minus 1,200 in his last fight. Now he's an underdog. And at first I was like, great. I'm going to get great value on Peyton Talbot, who I think we all, at least at one point, agreed was a pretty good fighter. And he only lost his last fight because he couldn't defend takedowns against a 5-time Brazilian national champion. And then I watched the tape, and it's like, fuck, Felipe Lima is very, very good. So I do think Felipe can win, especially because he can threaten the takedowns if he needs to. He also has fun, creative striking, plenty of cardio. I think Felipe Lima can win this fight. I only put a half a unit on this because I'm a little worried about both of them. Jhonata Diniz, if he does end up on his back, that dude's screwed. He is screwed if he ends up on his back. And Felipe Lima should win this fight. Very talented kid. But we don't quite know how good or bad Peyton is yet. He lost one fight to an established UFC vet who just beat a former world champion. So only a half a unit there. I am not a value hunter, right? I will only ever bet on, or I only ever put money on bets that I think win. So I do think this bet hits, but I will do what you're supposed to do, what a normal human does, and I will range my units accordingly. If you watch anybody and they're talking about 4 units on this, 6 units, and they got 28 units out the door, they're either fake bets, they're $10 units, which is totally fine. But if you have $10 units and then you are throwing 10 units on something because you're like, I'm going to put 100 up, then you need to up your units. So it's either somebody that has no idea what units are or unit management, or they're just fake bets. This is what it's supposed to look like. Anywhere from like 5 to 8 bets or units with, bets that are rounded accordingly. If you've got 5 unit bets on the board, then you don't have any unit management. The units are too small. Then I have that Beneil Dariush money line. You see the little asterisk and the word regret next to it. I do have some buyer's remorse, and it's not for the breakdown. I still am breaking this fight down the way I did before. I think Beneil Dariush can win this fight. I think that Renato Moicano is a little overrated. He should not have beat Drew Dober. He basically landed on top when Drew tried to throw himself. He's had a nice little run as of late with a couple of great circumstances. UFC 300, he should not have beaten Jalen Turner either. Jalen Turner had him 99% knocked out. He survives, and Jalen Turner had that full adrenaline dump because if you remember, he just walked away, thought he won like that. I have some regret here, though, because everybody is on Beneil. When I first broke this fight down, this is supposed to happen back at, UFC 3, whatever the hell, 11, I think. This fight was supposed to happen, and it didn't. And I was the only person in the community picking Beneil Dariush, or one of. Now, everybody is picking Beneil. Everybody is. And I hate that. I don't like it. This would not be the first time that the general public and everybody's on the same guy and it goes south. So I regret, if I could undo the Beneil Dariush bet, quite literally, specifically because everybody else likes him, I would. Then Jackson McVey. I got him as a dog at minus 105. I got him as an underdog. He is now a big-time favorite at minus 150 something. I don't regret that bet because I got great odds on it, and I do still think he wins. But at his current odds, you're taking a real chance on a UFC debut that doesn't have a lot of fights. Then Brandon Royval. I got a shit ton of regret on this one. I placed this bet weeks ago. As soon as they announced Brandon Royval was fighting Josh Van, or Josh Van was stepping up on short notice to fight Brandon Royval. And the odds were insane. The next day, I went to go place the bet. The odds sort of corrected. Brandon was a slight favorite, so I jumped on it. In my mind, and I still believe this, there are levels in this game. Brandon Royval very clearly has way more experience. It's not even close. Brandon Royval has beaten the better fighters. And if you look at Josh Van's record, he has beaten all grapplers. It's all grapplers. Zalgas Zumagulov in his UFC debut. Cody Durden, Rai Tsura. These are all grapplers. Bruno Silva, in his last fight, was the first non-grappler that he beat. And Bruno Silva's old and was just sort of swinging wild. And then he gets knocked out cold in the third round against Charles Johnson. So my breakdown of this fight does remain the same. I think Brandon Royval is just the better fighter. I think he's been around way longer. He has higher level of experience. He's a cardio demon. And I don't think Josh Van's just going to get by having slick striking because his opponent's just going to be shooting bad shots. But I am starting to regret the pick and the bet because of that concussion. He's been more and more, the guy won't shut the hell up about it. He just won't shut up. And now he's talking about changing weight classes after this fight. Oh, the bigger guys get paid more, so I'm going to move up to get paid more. It's like, Jesus, dude, what the hell's going on here? So now I regret that bet. If I can undo it, I would. Then we have a premium parlay. I've got a parlay on the board, one full unit. It is plus 134. You can check that out at WeWantPicks.com. And the safety parlay, minus 108. And before you fucking smooth brain, dumb dick crybabies are like, but the safety parlay lost. Where were your comments when I hit 6 in a row? Where were those comments? I don't remember seeing you. When I hit 6 in a row, I don't remember seeing the comments. And 2 of those 6 were plus money. 2 of them. Safety parlay is the beacon of stability. It always will be. Yeah, we can lose a few. Nobody bats 1,000. Not even the all-time hit king. Here's a couple of more premium bet teasers. You got the slam of the week. That is Bet Sam's, basically his version of the safety parlay. It's plus 135. It's a slam because he loads up on the units. He put 2 full units on a plus 135 bet. And then we got a Brazil parlay from Jakey Boy, plus 333 to bring back 2.6 units. I'm filming this early as shit in the week because I am going to be in Las Vegas this weekend. I'm leaving Thursday, so I'm filming this very early. There are way more bets coming. If you want to check out every single bet, all the tools. If you are an enabler, teach a man to fish. You don't want to just copy paste blindly. You want to use some tools, some insight, help guide you. We have data. We have interactive tools. We have an artificial intelligence. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10, and here's all the cards you'll unlock for that $10. You'll get 2 pay-per-views, 2 really good fight nights. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. I opened up this entire video showing you different odds, sportsbook odds, and then Bet Openly odds. Bet Openly is not a sportsbook. They don't need you to lose to stay in business. That's how sportsbooks operate. If everybody won money all the time always, they would be out of business. Bet Openly just facilitates bets between different human beings. I put a bet on the board. If you disagree with it, you take the other side. And now if I win, I take your money. You win, you take my money. All Bet Openly did was facilitate that for us. And then they take 1% of the winnings. If I win $100, I get 99. And because it's only 1%, they get to pass on better odds. So if you care about better odds, you will quite literally get better odds on both sides of every bet, period, end of story. Check them out at betopenly.com or wewantpicks.com/betopenly. And if you want a couple of bucks, we'll give you a couple of bucks. I just paid out, it felt like 100 people last weekend. Everybody that submitted a claim in June got paid. Everybody that submitted a claim in May got paid. And then there was some people who submit and they don't have the right data. Then it takes them a while. I paid a whole ton of people $50. And in order to get that money, the only thing you need to do is go to wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our sportsbook partners using the link. You sign up, you make a deposit. They're going to pay us commission. I'm going to slice off some of that commission and give it right back to you. It's very straightforward, very simple. No promo codes, no nonsense. Got to use the link, wewantpicks.com/bets. You sign up, you make a deposit. We'll send you $50 as a thank you. Guys, good luck this weekend. It feels like we're all due. UFC Baku was wild. UFC 317 should be a ton of fun. We got a couple of exciting title fights and a lot of opportunities to make some money. Good luck this weekend. I'll catch you on the other side. Catch you on the other side. What kind of weird send-off is that?